It's wild, out of all of them, the only ones who have gotten work again, like as head coaches, Aikens and McClellan. Hitchcock, it was his last stop. Tippett, last stop. Oh, Kruger had a brief cup of coffee back in Buffalo.
Didn't he go coach a soccer team after?
Yeah, Southampton.
Ah, well. You know who you never heard from again was Tambo.
Not once.
Like, he just went out of the hockey world, never to be heard from again.
But I think that's a guy who maybe did the whole, like, oh, you're going to pay me for the next few years to not work? And then you do that for a couple of years, and it's like, well, that's excellent.
If you get paid out, you need to go start hanging around skates and rinks and drinking coffee with a clipboard, even if there's nothing on the clipboard. Because if they forget about you,
you're gone.
I heard that Dave Tippett is just, like, hired to be a coaching consultant with Seattle, or he was. And they were like, will you do this? And he was like, sure, this is my price. They're like, all right, you're like coming to Seattle. And he was like, no, I am not. I will live and do this job from Phoenix. And they were like, all right.
Really?
And his job is like his job was like once a week, whoever the coach was at the Kraken. He said, like, get on the phone with him and be like, what do you need?
You good?
You're doing great.
Okay, sweet. Next week.
Try this. Yep. See you. Bye. I remember hearing the story of Glenn Gulleton because Gulleton was on OG McClellan's staff, I think. So he gets fired from McClellan's staff, and then he was on, I think, the weird Hitchcock staff, and then he was on Tippett's. And then I heard a story that when they fired Tippett, Gulleton like walked in and was like, fire me too. I'm not doing this anymore. And they were like, okay, you can quit and give up your money. And he was like, who's the next coach? Like, I'm in.
Everyone has principles till they're asked to give them.
What happens when the best player in hockey stops believing in the system? Because that's exactly what seems to have happened in Edmonton. The Oilers didn't just make a few adjustments this season. They completely changed the way they wanted to play hockey. The coaching philosophy shifted, the lines changed, the pace changed, and suddenly the entire team looked different. And at the center of all of it was Connor McDavid. Now, obviously, McDavid never publicly came out and demanded changes. That's not really his personality. But in professional sports, superstars don't always need to say things directly for organizations to get the message. Sometimes frustration says enough. Sometimes body language says enough. And sometimes when the best player on the planet looks uncomfortable in a system, the entire franchise panics. At the beginning of the season, the Oilers were trying to become a more structured team. The coaching staff wanted tighter defensive play, smarter positioning, shorter shifts, and less chaos overall. On paper, it sounded smart. The idea was simple. If Edmonton wanted to finally win a Stanley Cup, they couldn't rely only on offense anymore. They needed balance. They needed discipline. They needed to stop trading chances every night and become harder to play against. But there was one major problem with that plan. It started taking away the thing that made the Oilers terrifying in the first place. Speed, freedom, creativity. Connor McDavid thrives in controlled chaos. His game is built on attacking defenses before they can react. The moment you slow everything down too much, you're limiting what makes him special. And fans started noticing it almost immediately. The Oilers suddenly looked hesitant offensively. Rush chances disappeared. McDavid wasn't attacking with the same aggression. The team looked robotic at times instead of explosive. And when the losses started piling up, the pressure inside Edmonton became impossible to ignore. Because this isn't just any franchise. This is a team with Connor McDavid in his prime. Every single season without a championship feels like a wasted opportunity. The criticism started coming from everywhere. Fans blamed the coaching staff. Analysts questioned the system. Former players started wondering why Edmonton was trying so hard to become something they weren't. And quietly, behind the scenes, things reportedly started changing. The organization slowly realized something important. You do not build a restrictive system around Connor McDavid. You build the system around maximizing Connor McDavid. That realization appears to have completely changed the direction of the team. Over time, the Oilers started opening things back up offensively. Defensemen became more aggressive joining the rush. The transition game became faster. The team started attacking with confidence again instead of constantly worrying about mistakes. And suddenly, Edmonton looked dangerous again. McDavid looked energized. Leon Draisaitl became dominant again. The offense exploded back to life, and the Oilers started resembling the high-speed nightmare that nobody wants to face in the playoffs. That's what makes this story so interesting. This wasn't just a normal tactical adjustment. This looked like an organization realizing their superstar had to be fully unleashed if they wanted any chance at winning a championship. And honestly, that's the reality of modern sports. Coaches create systems, but generational players shape franchises. When someone like Connor McDavid believes the team is drifting away from its strengths, people listen. Because players like him don't come around often. You can replace coaches. You cannot replace Connor McDavid. That's why the pressure in Edmonton is so intense right now. The Oilers know they are in a championship window. Every playoff run matters. Every failure gets magnified. Every season without a Stanley Cup creates more questions about whether this core can actually finish the job. So the organization made a choice. Instead of forcing McDavid to adapt fully to the system, they adjusted the system to maximize McDavid. And whether people want to admit it or not, that's a massive power shift. Now the big question is whether it'll actually work when it matters most. Because offensive firepower alone doesn't guarantee championships. We've seen talented Oilers teams fall short before. The playoffs are brutal, physical, and unforgiving. At some point, Edmonton still needs enough structure defensively to survive deep postseason runs. But they also understand something very clearly now.